down and subscribe. Welcome to the show. Peace, family, the shadow eliminates from the soul. Knowledge yourself, you probably sitting on a pot of gold. Tell me in the chat, you think we from Africa? Really though? The wrong perspective will cloud your judgment. I mean, somebody could tell you somebody you wasn't. Pay more homage and less worship. You tired of being a pushover than be assertive. Politics just an old ancient secret circus. It gets deeper the more you go in below the surface. We gotta learn to heal the trauma, be our own savior. My old earth gave me birth to God, one with nature. I'm an American Indian. Fight for the rights of my native land. I'm an American Indian. Fight for your rights, fight for your life. Eastern Shore, Mississippian, down by the river. Black man, red skin, bunch of Indian givers. Real side of Shakur, prisoners of the war. Return of the matriarch, the return of the God. East side, muddy water, we indigenous tribes. Black Wall Street, I run a family business of mine. Straight out the gutter, word the mother, high chief on the rise. They read the Bible translation, but ain't reading the scribe. Keep it G, Cherokee, Gullah Geechee, the gang. You know how it is, everybody got beef with the king. Turtle Island, we steppin', can't let them kill our connection. You know the mind and the tongue be the deadliest weapons. I'm an American Indian. Fight for the rights of my native land. I'm an American Indian. Fight for your rights, fight for your life. I am a real American. Fight for the rights of my native land. I am a real American. Fight for your rights, fight for your life.
So this right here is the other side. So you can actually see the pyramid and the steps, but you also see the sign who's in control of it.
Yourself, you probably sitting on a pot of gold. Tell me in the chat, you think we from Africa? Really though? The wrong perspective will cloud your judgment. I mean, somebody could tell you somebody you wasn't.
Good evening and welcome to the show. How you doing, Mafia?
Peace to the God. All is well.
Main Apple Scrapple, Hannibal James. How are you, sir?
Hey, what up, though? You all right?
Got the Godfather in the house.
Yes, sir.
The Horace IVth.
Peace, my brothers.
Peace, man.
Peace.
Are we Moors, Hebrews, or Indigenous? Call it cognitive dissonance, the tension we feel when new information collides with what we've always believed. Many of us grew up with two big narratives: that humanity's oldest roots traced to Southern Africa, and that our people, we call Black, in the Americas, arrived solely via the transatlantic slave trade. But what if the fuller story is more complicated? What if some of our families have been here far longer than our textbooks suggest? And what if many we call descendants of slaves are in fact descendants of prisoners of war from conflicts on this soil? That question has animated our Indigenous series these past 2 months. I first posed the question on YouTube more than a decade ago. And now, 10 years later, the responses keep coming. Viewers drop family names: Cherokee, Saponi, Blackfeet, Creek. They share oral histories that sound like my own. A grandmother who was Indian, great-grandfather who kept careful records, a family Bible with tribal or regional clues, land deeds. Whether you use Black or preferred melanated, people across the country are re-examining who they are and where their people come from. To be clear, this isn't about swapping one orthodoxy for another. It's about widening our lens and asking better questions. Archaeology, anthropology, and local archives offer many threads, from monumental architecture and hemispheric trade routes to artistic traditions and burial practices. And it's interesting how we keep coming back to burial practices especially with Brother Horace and his coverage of the Mound Pyramids, because my daddy was Undertaker. So for me, it's a full circle moment on another level. Some claims that the legend lives in being labeled as such. Others are documented. Some deserve attention, some don't. Either way, families are reconnecting dots through land deeds, church ledgers, military rolls, county courthouses, Indian commissions in the many states, and most importantly, the elders still with us. Lovers of this series know the reference points: the colossal Olmec heads in Mexico, the Great Pyramids of the Americas, Mayan art depicting dark-skinned figures, and yes, even Walter Plecker and the Racial Integrity Act of 1924. Even down to legends about Kincaid's Cave out in the desert in Arizona. The point is that we're not here to chase every rumor. We're just about bringing our people together. Gentlemen, I wanted to tell you that this series has really picked up momentum.
Okay. Okay, what's going on now?
It's getting a lot of hits from all over the country, man. I think people are watching from other places.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good.
I got a special guest for you today. Hello, Nikki Nicole. Michelle, peace and blessings to you.
How you doing,
Mr.
Michelle?
Bob, you got your shoot. You got to turn the camera around. Bear with me. I'm so grateful for this live because tomorrow is Indigenous People Day and conversation is needed. Well, we're gonna have it here tonight. Saponi up in the house.
Yeah. Mona Sakapona.
Say it again.
Mona Sakapona.
Okay. All right. So, Horace, what's been happening, man?
Oh man, just doing what I do, man. I happen to be in beautiful New Mexico, trying to figure out whether these monuments that I'm looking at are pyramids or mountains.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, if anybody's familiar with Pumapunku, where you got these big stones that's thrown all over the place. It looks like that they were on the way to become a pyramid or something colossal, but it looked like an earthquake happened, and they're just like thrown all over the place. Well, out here in New Mexico, that's how it looks out here with the structures, but the bricks and everything are just thrown around all sloppily. And I'm trying to figure out, well, how the mountains grow with some sloppy bricks drawn on them, man. So the speculation is heavy, man. I'm wondering, man.
The difference between the two.
Okay, well, he got interference.
I think he froze. It's crazy because the land went through a lot of devastation. Even if we talk about the cutting down of the trees, and the forest life and how we live. The Skywalkers, you know what I'm saying, had villages in on top of the trees.
Okay, now.
All right, so gentlemen, we got a special guest tonight, as I promised. And this is what do we call you? Where'd you go, Bob? Bob dipped off that quick. I think he's having some technical challenges. He doesn't show himself, but I'll wait till he gets back. What's been happening, Hannibal?
Oh, like I do a lot of studying today, a lot of building with my man Mafia Shakur today on some interesting topics today.
Okay. So we have attorney Robert Fulton DeShield. Welcome, attorney.
Good afternoon. How are you? As soon as I figure out what I'm doing with this, I'll have a better picture. But how is everybody?
We're all well. Don't move. Don't touch anything. You're doing just good.
Oh, okay. I can't see anybody, but okay. I'm good. I'm here.
Okay. Well, do you have Indian in your family? Let's just get to the nut of it.
You asking me?
Yes.
Not that I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm. Where you from?
Salisbury, Maryland, and my youngest daughter once did one of these ancestry.com searches, and it came up. What was it? 35 or 36% Nigerian and 7% something, but there was no indication of there being Indian in there anywhere, or Caucasian for that matter, if anybody wondered.
Yeah.
Yes,
We've got a lot of information to share with you on things that we have learned. And I don't know how to say it, but we're going to challenge some notions you may have held for a long time. And we've had scholars come on, black and white, to share insight, working on some South Americans, some Latinos, but the history. So let me just say, there are many people who watch the show that believe we didn't come here in the bottom of a slave ship, that we were already here.
yes, sir.
They say if you Google right now how many slaves were transported via this transatlantic slave trade, and you ask the specific question of how many came to America, they'll tell you 4 to 6% of the people transported in the transatlantic slave trade came to the Americas, and that came to about 750,000. And so it begs one question: can 750,000 people multiply into 44 million today? So anyway, let me introduce you to the panel before we get too deep. Mafia, introduce yourself. Tell the attorney who you are, what you do.
Mafia Shakur from Baltimore. I do music and artistry. I also study our history, and I share my findings.
Hey, I'm Hannibal James. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I'm a family genealogist and a family historian, and I tell the story of our history.
Horace IVth, hailing from the south side of Chicago, Illinois. Consider myself a metaphysician, as well as a student of the game, and from all the great masters. And that's about it. Just trying to get our people together so we can get Turtle Island back to where it's supposed to be at.
So, Mr. Bob, you ever heard the term Turtle Island?
Turtle Island. Not that I recall.
Well, that's a term that indigenous people call this country, this North American continent, Turtle Island. So this guy on the screen is named Walter Plecker. And the reason I wanted you to join us tonight is because this guy, Walter Plecker, down in Virginia, and his Racial Integrity Act caused some problems. They had these various commissions, and I guess at some point we should have Mafia share about these various commissions that were held. But the Racial Integrity Act of 1924 was a new law which prohibited interracial marriage and ushered in a long period of discriminatory and racial designation administered by the government. One of the acts, hey Horace, you got a buzz going on, buddy. One of the act's main proponents was a physician named Walter Ashby Plecker. Now, they had these things called the Dawes Commission and various. Yeah, you damn right he changed history. Down there in Richmond, Virginia. They got a tree down there in Richmond, Virginia, in downtown Richmond. I swear to beans. I saw that tree and they told me about the lynchings and I had to get the heck up out of Richmond. But nonetheless, you go before him and he would say, you are Hannibal, you are black. And you, Mafia Shakur, you are Indian. They would just look at you and make determinations. But his big thing was stripping people of their native ancestry. And when they stripped them of their native ancestry, then they lose out ancestral rights. And so I did a guesstimate using the AI joint, and it came up with about $5 billion in land in Virginia. $5 billion in Virginia of how much land, how much value was taken from Black people. Your grandmother might have been Blackfoot. Like my great grandmother was Blackfoot on my father's side. On my mother's side, she was from Puerto Rico. I have no idea what was happening there, but certainly something was going on. And if a person is due rights, land rights, money, then people want it. So I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Mr. Bob, but that guy right there, Walter Plecker, he did a real number on melanated people. And I tell you something else, people don't like the word black around here. We've gone from Negro, from Indian to Negro to all these other terms. People here actually identify with the term Native American, something that you have said on other shows. You said as soon as our feet hit the land that we were citizens. And so this may cause you to add context to what you've learned, what you have practiced, what you know to be true in American law. But we've learned a lot on this show. That's all I can tell you. Anybody want to jump in and help me out?
Yes, sir. The Walter Plecker, alongside of all the other governors and people of the crown that was rewarded plots of land or provinces of land, which they came to conquer. And the Dawes Rolls, along with the Abbott Rolls, and there was other rolls outside of the Dawes Rolls that they used to have people to swindle us out of our names. Like, and they gave us the names. They took us from Indian to colored to black to mulattoes, and these different terminologies that they gave us to re-identify us, alongside with religious aspects as well. Baptisms and marriage license is where they did a lot of the name changing and stripping people of their titles.
Yeah, I think that was like, I think we looking at the end of about a 400-year episode of what they did on us and making statuses. This all starts on a religious scale and a political scale. This goes back to like the 1550s, back with France and England and Spain. We talking about the religious Reformation period. We talking about when I'm thinking it was Henry II. He died like in 1558, and his son Francis II came into play, right? And then Francis II's wife was Mary Queen of Scots, right? Now Mary Queen of Scots is King James's mother. So that we talking about, they was up there, they all was Protestants. And then you go into the Catholic and all that, they was Catholics. And then you go into the Protestants, Mary Queen of Scots, first, half sisters, half cousins, or whatever they were. You talking about Mary I and Queen Elizabeth I. So
you're losing me. Bring me back on home.
So what I'm trying to say is that what Walter Plecker did was the last thing. I'm trying to show everybody that it's a combination of things that happened from the very beginning here. It's religious, it's political, and when it became political, it became law. So that's what I'm trying to bring home to everybody. And I'm just trying to show everybody where it starts back in the 1550s.
So what he did, Mr. Bob, he reclassified people he deemed Indian. He reclassified them as colored or Negro, thereby erasing their official status as indigenous in vital records, birth, marriage, death.
Well, Donnie and other brothers, to me, this is all part of the process generally referred to as colonization. And if what this adds to the restitution, which I believe is owed to Black people, to American Black people, then I'm not surprised by that, because land was one of the most misappropriated assets that there was. Land is, in my estimation, the only real asset. That's why it's called real estate. But even for the people who were classified as Indian or Native Americans, uh, even the theft was also readily apparent. There was 27 million acres that were quote purchased from what people classified as Native Americans for 2 cents an acre, and codified and legalized, presumably under things called treaties, which really, as I say, simply memorialized the misappropriation that had already taken place. So the process of the name changing, the denial of self, the denial of humanity with respect to Black people was all part of the misappropriation of land and other assets that belong to us, whether we whether we came here in the holds of the ships, whether we were later migrated here from Brazil, which I think was the primary destination of most of the occupants of those holds. It really doesn't matter. What the point is, non-white people were were the subject of wholesale and mass theft, the victims of wholesale and mass theft, and for a continuous period of time, whether it was 400 years or 500 years or 700 years, it was the same process. It was the process called colonization, and which really is a euphemism for taking something that didn't belong to you.
Okay. So how would common law revert that, or is it possible that common law or the great law of the land would restore or revert the colonization that transpired?
Well, the law is what the people in robes sitting behind the bench say it is, right? So you're not going to see any change in anything if you don't change the people with the robes sitting behind the desk. I don't care what the words say. We can all take the same word and come out with as many different interpretations as we want to fit our objective, whether that objective is political, economic, cultural, or whatever. It's the words don't in and of themselves speak. They have to have a voice, and they're given that voice, whether written in laws or wherever. They're given that voice by those recognized as having the authority to speak for them. And in this system, and in most systems around the world, these people are called judges.
So quick question: are there any treaties with Native Americans that include so-called African Americans now?
I couldn't answer that. First I have to, but you gentlemen have introduced the question of what is a Native American and what is an African. But there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of treaties, and almost none of them have been adhered to, and almost all of them were the product of deception, fraud, or some other kind of inequitable treatment.
So, Mr. Bob, let me just jump in here, gentlemen, and add this piece. Brenda, who is a faithful supporter of this show, she has been insisting that we all take, anyway, I'll just read, Reclaiming Lost Legacy, and she's always talking about this, E1B1A. Gentlemen, get your Y DNA haplogroup. Most of you gentlemen will find you are E1B1A. Do the test and come back with a consensus. What does it mean? This is what Brenda says. Now, you gotta peep the comments, Mr. Bob, because I don't know, these comments over here be popping off like it's back in the day on Greenmount Avenue. So a brother comes back with a comment. This is Tahonga. He's a faithful supporter of this show too. Thank you both. He says, at Brenda, we don't lean on DNA because we don't know if they are telling the truth about that or not. Genealogy is the only way to really know your bloodline. And I got to tell you this one other thing, Mr. Bob. On this show, people have taught me, and I'm a newbie, that genealogy is higher than what, gentlemen?
DNA tests.
Yes.
Genealogy is higher than spirituality, is what I've been reading.
Genealogy is the highest form of spirituality.
There you go.
And if I can intervene right quick, sister had left a comment, and she said that she believes that we are the remnant seeds of the remnant seeds, and that's probably the most truthful statement that we can adhere to, is being remnant seeds of just the Mother Earth, as well as the great waters, who in some schools of thought is labeled Tiamat. But I wanted to touch upon the fact that when the majority of those treaties that were signed were signed by agents who had posed as being one of the indigenous people of the land. That's why most of them were killed after the treaties were signed, because most of those treaties that were signed were not in agreement with the rest of the tribes on the land. And so far as the classification goes, well, one of the main things that most people don't know, that even until no state recognizes Black people as being state citizens. According to them, we are all 14th Amendment citizens that doesn't have rights. We only have privileges on our own land.
Well, that 14th Amendment piece really is the reason why I have said, as Donnie pointed out in other venues, that our ownership, and Donnie used the word citizenship, I use ownership, that our ownership rights in this place did not derive from the 14th Amendment.
That's right.
They derived, and we acquired them in the same way, those who were brought here, that is, in the same way as the colonialists claimed ownership, which is when they feeded the land. The reason why I don't recognize our ownership as having been derived from the 14th Amendment is because amendments change. And not only that, but that presumes that there was something that we didn't already have that was given to us by the people then in control, who still happen to be the people in control. Our rights as human beings, our rights derive from the one and only God that there is, not from white man, not from Asian man, not from an Indian or Native. Our rights to be human beings, and to the rights that are, and the opportunities, the assets that were God given, belong as much to us as they do to anybody else made in His image.
Yeah, agreed 100%. I think that in this day and time, with us trying to identify ourselves by any other means other than just existing, because when it comes to the people that are basically in control of these tests, of this information, they always, I've noticed that everything always points back to Africa. Nothing points to the land that we call America, or what we know in tradition to be Turtle Island. It never points back to Turtle Island. And if it does, it's 1% or 2%. And so they still trying to push this narrative as if we came over here on slave ships, when we know that was pretty much impossible. For if you do the numbers and the math, that would be impossible for those many people to come over here on 35,000 ships over the course of 350 years. And I think that at some point within a 350-year period, them brothers and sisters in Africa would have been waiting on the shores for some ships to pull up so they can handle their business. But there are no records of mass rebellions in regards to that, but they still push the narrative. And I'm gonna cut this short. That's just like even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in coinciding with Putin about, you know, the so-called Jesus being black. No matter that particular truth or version of the truth is out there, you still see brand new billboards of white Jesuses on them, as if none of that stuff even was brought made publicly. And it's like, you know, regardless of what anybody says, they still gonna push this narrative on to the people who are willing to accept it.
I agree with that, because I haven't done a genealogy test, but one of my relatives had did a genealogy test, and it came back and it said that she was Nigerian. And then when I looked into further research, it says that the Cherokee tribes have been reclassified through genealogy as Nigerian. And a lot of times when we speak on the Africa content and the American content, they say that some of the tribes had similar languages. So I believe through the similar languages, and we was already in trade with each other. We had trade routes. So through that, it was a connection where they made the colonizers made a connection to these two tribes to enable to put us in a melting pot.
Yeah, but see, they after our pyramids and our energy centers here, you know. And I speak of Noble Drali a lot, you know, for the reason I already explained. But he said that once the European goes back to Europe, mountains of gold will reveal themselves to us. So there's wealth and minerals and resources in this land that I believe, you know, in my own, you know, philosophy, that the Mother Earth is actually hiding them from these scavengers and these vultures. But they're after something here, and we are the ones who actually holds the key to the entire cosmos. Although we may be, you know, mixed in with some more people somewhere else, but the people that's here right now on Turtle Island, man, we're special people. That's why we are the focus of everybody, man. I'm talking about there's nothing we can do without being the focal point of everybody who wants to defame our character, when we may have a problem with each other. But how does that affect people that have problems with us? I mean, if we only have problems in-house, why everybody on outside of the house so worried about what we're doing with our in-house problems and whatnot?
So let me jump in here for a second, Horace. We're going to show Mr. Bob. I need you to load a couple of your clips, because we haven't even dropped that on him about the pyramids. So can you pull a couple of those up? Meanwhile, Mr. Bob, this is something that often comes up in our discussion. I'm sure you have seen them before. The Olmec heads, we know that they are dated back to 2500, the year 2500 years ago. So 500 BC. And they're found in Mexico, Yucatan Peninsula. And what happened, Mr. Bob? And clearly they are representative of people that look like us. I'm sure you've seen this before. And so this is one of the pieces of evidence that a lot of our native scholars, our indigenous scholars, point to as evidence. Now, I'm going to show you something else, and Horace is getting ready to show you something locally, more local. Mr. Bob, I'm going to pose this question to you, and we all understand.
Okay.
Which area has more pyramids, Africa or the Americas?
Africa or the Americas?
I know. Nobody's ever thought that before. You ever seen the pyramids in South America?
I have, and I honestly don't know the answer to that. I thought you were going to ask me where the greatest number of pyramids are in the continent of Africa or Europe, and I would have easily said that they're in Africa, not in Egypt, or not in the area where they're commonly thought to exist. But as between Africa or Northern Africa and the Americas, particularly South America, more likely than not, they're the greatest numbers in South America.
Well, here's one that's as old. Now, the oldest one in Egypt, to my knowledge, is Djoser, Djoser, Djoser. And but here's one in Corral, Peru, 5,000 years old.
Yeah.
It is understood by, especially now. There's a term used on this show, Americentric. There are those who have an Americentric view. Many of the people here do not have an Afrocentric perspective. They do not identify primarily with Africa, Africans, or Pan-Africanism. And if you pay attention, you listen to their logic, I find it hard to refute. But anyway, this is Peru 5,000 years ago. Now I'm gonna give you something. He can ready bust out here. I guess I'll do this one first. There you go, Horace.
Okay. So this is the illustrious city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pyramids that are in control by our great friends at Waste Management that have turned these into landfills with stinking garbage from the people of Wisconsin. But as you can see, the pyramid in the back, of course, I would assume that particular pyramid in itself is approximately 3 blocks long. And the one to the right that you see is a step pyramid that's primarily intact, with the germinated grass, is about, a block and a half. And the other ones are equal in length, that I'm assuming. And the one that you see that looks as if it has been skint is one that they are currently doing who knows what to. But yeah, those are just those right there.
So what we are showing you, Mr. Bob, are what are called mound pyramids. Now, if you think of Patterson Park, if you think of Collington Square, if you think of Mondawmin, oh my God, Mafia, tell her what the chief lady said about Mondawmin.
Yeah, she said that Mondawmin was a mound pyramid itself, and upon my research, of course, I gotta do more digging because they didn't give me what I was looking for. So, but if we look at the shapes of these mound pyramids, we can identify with the structures that are around us every day that resemble these. But they built societies on top of the ancient world. If we look at all the cities around the world, all the major cities, every city has a Las Vegas. It's Las Vegas everywhere. But when you come here and you look at our pyramids and our mounds, it's hundreds of years of destruction and manipulation.
Now, Mr. Bob, on the screen, I don't know if you saw this clip earlier. This is a picture from the ground of a mound pyramid. So they're very tall and they're blocks long, and they're used often for burial. They were used for burial. So Horace's point is that those are our cemeteries. Those are our pyramids, just as in Egypt. Those are where our ancestors are, and they don't like people putting trash, using their burial ground to be buried by trash. And Horace goes deep on that. Go ahead, Horace.
Well, all of them aren't necessarily burial mounds. Then some of them are. That part I'm trying to get to the bottom of, but them were places of worship, if I could use that term, loosely, as well as energy centers, because we dealing with ancestors that were astronomers, astrologers, what they call shamans, So these energies are not, just built, for the sake of, looking good. They're built on locations that emanate a great deal of energy from the planet itself in on vibratory rates that if the people have the right sequence, that then they can actually tap into the ancestral realm, as well as a realm dealing with galactical information. But see, they aside from them putting garbage in them and whatnot to disrupt the ancestors as well as us, because we are one and the same, they also block information that comes down from the sun, as well as other parts of the universe that goes into the grounds that feeds our receptors. So they've been filtered in a garbage way and coming to our receptors, and then they got all of these other means of garbage things, whether it's the food, whether it's the music, whether it's the information and the television, whether it's the education or the religion. So they're coming at us from every angle, and they're starting for the most part with our energy centers that's located right where we are, man. And and that's just the reality of it.
How do we use this information to unify those people in this place called the United States? How do we use that information to unify those people who regard themselves as Black? How does this information? I understand the importance of knowing your genealogy. I understand the importance of history, but I also understand that we're dealing with a population that barely reads and writes. Much of the population barely reads and writes. How do we use this information to unify people who, for generations, have been taught and and still believe that whatever white people say is right, whatever white people have is more valuable than anything that we have, and that have been taught the futility of resistance, and many of whom have accepted that. How do we use the information that you gentlemen have and the ladies have uncovered? How do we use that to unify such a people today?
You want to answer that, brother?
I think
sir.
it's about awareness. I want to show you something, Mr. Bob. You see this picture right here? That picture is supposedly of Luzia. Luzia was found to be 10 to 12. She was found in a cave in Brazil, and she was found to be. They did the counting her age, and it came to be 10 to 12,000 years. But this picture that you see is not the original picture that they came up with. The original picture that they came up with. You see how this person has a narrow head? This is the original picture. This is what the scientists first came up with. And what I'm getting to, you see that forehead? That's how the Brazilian girl. You see that? That's how the Brazilian girl's head look. You see that right there? They don't look like this right here. And what I'm getting to is that who controls the narrative controls the history.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody else is saying what we look like, where we come from, what our this and that is, if we're not going to HBCUs and Ivy League schools to better define who we are and our narrative, then what the hell are we doing? We can stay home and play slave.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Well, I agree, but don't forget the question that I asked, because the fact is, as you well know, is that even the term HBCU, which I reject, because when we put the word history in front of it, what that really means, it was yours or may have been yours, but not yours anymore.
Wow.
It's not just a question of defining those few schools that were originally the beneficiaries of land grants. You notice the term HBCUs is applied to any school that's predominantly Black. and it means the same when it's being used. It may have been yours historically, but it is not yours today, or not long from now. It will not long remain yours going forward. So I don't use the term HBCU because that's another subtle way of introducing of continuing the deprivation of our identity as people, as human beings. There's nothing that we will ultimately say that we own. We reduced it almost all now to saying that the Black church is, quote, the only, culturally, the only thing that remains ours. But that's not even true, because the fact is there's too many pimps in the pulpit. My question remains: with all this information, how can we effectively use that to unify the people, our people who at least identify themselves as being American Blacks? And I use the term American Blacks. I don't use African Americans, because that includes Elon Musk. And I'm not talking about the folks who just came here flying first class from Ghana or Nigeria or anybody else. I'm talking about those Black people who are here, who are either here originally or the descendants of those brought in those ships. How do we use this information to unify those people?
I think.
Okay. Go ahead, Hannibal.
I think it's going to take those cousins of ours that's already got the status to step the hell up. Excuse my language. It's a lot of us that's already out here that's federally recognized within these nations, and they just not saying anything.
I'm not sure, Hannibal, you understand. He want to know, how do it apply to us walking down the street, us as a collective melanated people? In other words, so what? You know your history, you know the tribes, you know your people's names going back 17 generations. So what?
Yeah.
Right. I want to say something real quick, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
Like I stressed before, in the movie Young Guns, before Lou Diamond Phillips fed those guys peyote, he said, when we are lost, we consult the ancestors to guide us. So now, there are a lot of brothers and sisters that are consciously aware of what's going on, but our daily tasks, such as work, etc., will pull us in that direction, as opposed to being able to sit still and meditate and connect our energies through telekinesis or what have you. But I propose the Million Matriarch March as a starting point to get these sisters together on these pyramids and vibrate the right song, dance, and chants, because the power lies in our hands. There's nobody coming out of the sky to save us, and we got too many agents that sit up and kick knowledge about what they know, and they want to grab a gun and be on some Black Power stuff, but then they go and report to the same system that has been the author of our people's demise since they got here to this land. So the ancestors are the key to our unification as a whole, and that's my take on that.
And I'm gonna piggyback off of that. Like Donnie said as well, it's about the awareness. The more that we are informed about this, it brings more clarity, because the small things that we can do, it starts with economics. So once we can recover our economics and we know where we're putting our money towards, then that enriches us to have a more sustainable power source to be able to operate on the land in a certain way, to unify us as a whole.
I'm glad you said that, Mafia, because Mr. DeShield has been a supporter of this network for the past 5 years. So thank you, Mr. DeShield, for putting your money where your mouth is. And we finally got to show that we got people from all across the country. There you go, Shakur. Absolutely.
That's where it starts. We have to recontrol the narrative and the media source. This is what we're doing. We're doing having a media source to be able to control the narrative and deprogram us from what we've been programmed to. This is hundreds of years of programming. So it's not just like an overnight thing when you discover it. Okay, I know my generations, I had this. Where do I place this? I place this into like-minded individuals so we can build that platform to be able to collect and have resources to disperse to the people.
You got to get this comment from Tahonga, Attorney DeShield. The
Okay.
problem is, as long as people believe they came from somewhere else, they will never respect where they are at.
And that's also true. And that's the issue with the reparations conversation. You know, reparation will never be given to a people who don't know who they are. We don't have an organized I'm going to use the word loosely nation, because we know that is a European term that came with the Admiralty Maritime, but we don't have a nation to go to the United Nations as a people to receive that. So we still discombobulated, and I believe that the youth are going to put the mold together that's going to do it right now, because the older generation on both sides are still a little bit, I think, confused about, the future in those aspects. But I still lean on the ancestors, even if we talk to the ancestors on a personal level.
All right, Horace, tell them what the ancestors told you about these Appalachian Mountains. Watch this, Mr. Bob. Look at this graphic. Have you ever watch this, Mr. Bob?
Yeah, well, that they are pyramids. And another thing that led me to that conclusion is because I have seen mounds that stretches, for 100 or 200 miles. I was just in Moline, Illinois, the day before yesterday, and I saw a mound that stretched for at least 4 or 5 miles. I mean, 4 or 5
tell them
miles.
what your theory is about these Appalachian Mountains.
Well, they're pyramids.
And you said that there's no other structure like this on Earth?
Nowhere. Not 360 degrees of the planet Earth, or any perfectly chiseled triangular mountains. Is pretty much impossible. And
you got them pictures of Egypt. You got them pictures of Egypt in Chicago.
Yeah. Give me a minute.
Man, you gotta show him Egypt, Mr. Bob. There are hundreds of these mound pyramids across North America.
Yeah, I just sent you another one. That's up in I forgot the location now. I think it could be Michigan or Wisconsin, or the name may actually be on the file itself. I'm not sure. Let me try to pull this up here at some point, man. Y'all gotta bear with me and give me a second.
Come on, Mafia.
What it say? Why was only one?
I'm saying go ahead, take the point. I'm just.
Oh yeah, yes sir. Yeah, the pyramid perspective is important, because we don't understand the landscape of how our land was, as far as in the jungle, what they call savage life, which was really our natural lifestyle. We live in nature. We are nature people. That's why he talked about the mound pyramids, which was celebratorial spiritual sites, also burial sites, because we are one with the spiritual as we are one with nature. And the knowledge of ourself, which has been stripped from us, separates us from that aspect of ourselves. So we deal only in the physical aspect as to what we have in front of us.
That's right.
Mr. Bob, I also wanted to share with you that this chapter comes up repeatedly on this show. Deuteronomy, Old Testament, chapter 28. And certain scholars suggest that is black people, because we've posed the question, are we Moors, Hebrews, Indigenous, all three, none of the above? But repeatedly, the Bible comes up, and they say that you can tell that the native melanated people are Hebrews because they have, what's the word, fringes? Gentlemen, is that the term?
That's the term.
Sure.
Fringes.
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, that all of the clothes have fringes on them. Have the strings. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And that is indicative of Hebrew culture. That's what has come out on the show. I don't know if I was the only one that caught that.
Well, you know, the only problem I have with, you know, that particular, you know, school of thought in regards to claiming, you know, one to be the other or both for being the same is that the Hebrew Israelites do not draw off of feathers in totem poles. And that has been a long-standing identifier for ages. You know, you got them feathers, you got them totem poles. Okay, we know who you are. So, when y'all produce the feathers and the totem poles, and then you know, then you know, I would consider the validity of you know, the Hebrew Israelites being one and the same with the indigenous people of Turtle Island.
Yes, because we have to remember that all these religions pose war against us as well. See, we just think it's colonization from racism. We got to remember that the racism come from people that look like us as well. So we can't be boxed into one school of thought as to what we're dealing with.
That's right.
I just say we just stand on the outside and just watch them do their thing, but we got to be straight ahead on our mission, getting our things together. You know,
Now, I'm a little different, Mr. Bob, because I ain't just gonna cut off the relationships I done made with melanated people around the diaspora. People can do what they want, but I was thinking global a long time ago, so that's not new. It's not like I say, oh, I don't know these international people no more. I think you better have allies. And then my thing is this: if Joe Blow is kicking your butt in Africa and in the Caribbean and in Southeast Asia and in America, if the same one is kicking all four of our butt, I think we need to team up and kick his butt. That's just my thought. Pardon me for thinking survival.
No, you're right and exact. You're right and exact. But without an identity, we will be washed up again. We will be washed up and mixed in with everybody else's. So it's not about us not having allies.
That's not necessarily so. We're connected spiritually, and that just keeps us going. We know that there's something. I can't speak for y'all, but I know that there's something about our people and God. That's what I know.
Of course.
When we're on point, there's something magical.
I agree. We are naturally spiritual.
This word metaphysical is better.
Well, yes, you know, I agree with you 100%, Donnie. But my thing is that if we have the same enemy, then we can fight this enemy together, but stop trying to make me think that we are one and the same, or that I'm you and you am I. You know, we may be that in regards to, you know, specific bloodlines or something to that, but if I'm not a Hebrew Israelite, stop trying to make me think I'm a Hebrew Israelite. If I'm not, you know, from the tribe of Ishmael, or if I'm not, you know, they didn't come over here on a slave ship, stop trying to push that narrative into my brain and just let me ride with my Turtle Island thing, and let's take this enemy down, and then we go our separate ways. See? That's my thing. It's just that they keep trying to push this narrative. Oh, you came over here on a slave ship, or you're a Hebrew Israelite, and you know that's just the issue, man. With me, man.
Well, again, the issue for me isn't what white people think or what white people try to teach. It's what we believe.
There you go.
And we control our beliefs, and we control, and we are the first teachers. We have the opportunity from the time our children leave the womb, and even before that, to begin the process of educating them first as their humanity, and then as with respect to their heredity. But the unification of Black folk is not the final act. It's the preliminary act. The final act is the unification of all oppressed people, regardless of color. Because in the final analysis, the real separation in this world is between those who have and those who have not.
Say it again, brother.
And so we unify not for the purpose of just unifying ourselves, but we unify because we, I think, biblically have been designated as those who chosen to save the world. I think we have identified as the high priest for a reason, not just to satisfy our own sense of self-aggrandizement or self-identity, but because the only way to reclaim for the masses of people that which God gave to all of us is through leading those who are equally uneducated, who are equally deprived, and who in some respects are not equally oppressed, but oppressed for the same reason. That is the accumulation of more and more and more by those who have, which automatically leads to the deprivation of those who have not. So, we don't have to look to Mondawmin or Milwaukee to find evidence of the confiscation of Black property for the purpose of we could talk about Virginia Beach. Many of us don't know that Virginia Beach was a Black resort before it was bulldozed and made what it is now. We could go to Atlanta, the mecca of the so-called Black culture, and find many lakes that were built over Black cemeteries. So we know that we've made a livelihood out of identifying the problem, but we haven't spent any time describing what the solution is. That's because in my opinion, we missed the mark. The mark is those what is we got to reclaim for those who have not their rightful share for those who have way too much. And it's going to take unification, not just of people because they're Black. It's going to take the unification of all oppressed people to do that.
What we got here on the screen, big brother Horace?
Say we got Upper Egypt and we got Lower Egypt, and we're perfectly aware
Chicago,
that the term Egypt. Yeah, we perfectly aware that the term Egypt is, I don't know, 600 or 700 years old. That that's not the original name,
right.
But we use it in layman's terms. But to the left, you have Cairo, Illinois, and maybe where the letter C is that you have a little town that's called Future City, Illinois. Now over here in the same map to the left, you see the little white look like some little buildings or whatnot. That's Mounds and Mound City, Illinois. So when you do your research and try to find out why they named Cairo, Illinois, Little Egypt, they said because the site reminded them of Egypt. So when I look at Egypt in Africa, I see the Mediterranean, I see the Nile, and I see the confluence of the Nile River that goes around two distinct islands that sit in the middle of the Nile. But then when I come to Chicago, then I see right here, which would be the equivalent of Egypt, Africa, because you can't see it. But this river to the right is still the Calumet, but this flows down from Lake Michigan. And this waterway that that's very slim over here to the right is the Great Calumet River that comes in from Indiana and Michigan. So it confluences right down here and goes into the Calumet, and all of this goes down into the Illinois and the Des Plaines River, which eventually flows into the Mississippi. So this is the equivalent of Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt, and they never thought that anybody would put this together, or maybe they did, I don't know, but this is Egypt here. And there's another thing that I wanted to say for all of my Nuwapic brothers and sisters, that could be possibly watching, in reference to the legitimacy of Malachi York in my book. Well, that man was the truth, because unbeknownst to the majority of the people, he patterned Tamari after Big Egypt. And if you're asking for receipts, that you know that you want to see where he patterned
him?
Tamarie?
Yes, sir.
Is that him right there?
Yeah, that's the painting of the brother. Yes, sir. But
You ever heard of
give
him,
me a
Mr.
second.
Bob Malachi York?
No, sir.
He was born in Baltimore.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's so Baltimore's finest, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. Let me man, I'm gonna give me man a flash drive labeler, man, because you know you don't even understand, man. This could be a headache, you know, at times.
It's just a matter of getting organized. He's dealing with a lot of files on there. So, Mr. Bob, we're not gonna hold you. I do want you to take a moment and tell them what you do for a living and how you help our community all the time, especially here in Baltimore, because I got to tell you, we've been doing this show for 5 years now. This has been the greatest joy ever, connecting with Mafia Shakur, Myron Huggins. He's right over there in East Baltimore. Horace is out in Chicago, Hannibal in Detroit, and our other brother, he's dealing with a family emergency, Planet Wells. Our prayers go out to his brother, but he's in Hawaii.
What's up, Planet Wells?
I'm a lawyer by profession. I've been doing it for 53 years. Most of that in Baltimore. And what is my goal? My ultimate goal is to see a day when a man or a woman can work 40 hours or do whatever they want to do and be rewarded, not in two parts. One, be rewarded based upon the fact that they are a human being as much of one as anybody else, and two, rewarded in sufficient amount so that they can in fact raise and nurture the family, which is the primary institution of civilization, without having to work 2 and 3 jobs or get a gig or hustle over here, but they can actually have time to be home to raise the children, to teach the children the kinds of things that you gentlemen and ladies are teaching me tonight and taught others over the last 5 years or so. These things, education, it like anything else, comes with the price. The biggest price of education is time. You don't have that time if you're working 2 or 3 jobs. Even if you know what you gentlemen know, you have no time to teach it to your kids because you never see them. You're never home. So my goal ultimately is to reclaim for those who have not, all of those who have not, that which has been wrongfully taken from them. And I don't use the term reparations anymore, because reparations in law is an equitable term that relies on moral decision making. I use restitution because that's the word that you use when somebody has stolen something that didn't belong to them. So and restitution is what is required to set this vessel in the right direction, in my opinion.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful.
Well, as we can see, the chat is on fire tonight. I don't know if you gentlemen are peeping the comments.
I'm looking at them.
I've enjoyed the discussion, Donnie. I hope you invite me again.
His contact information is right there. Attorney at law, 410-456-8606. Let me tell you, folks, he has been a big servant of the people. Maybe he won't brag on himself, but he also helped start the Maryland Minority Contractors Association, and that group grew helped a lot of Black, melanated, whatever you term, people that look like us in business here in Baltimore and here in Maryland. And what we have learned is that what he's getting to is, are we gonna make some money together?
Yeah.
Damn all the talk. At the end of the day, when we get offline, are we gonna spend money with each other? Shakur does music. Horace is the truck driver. I do Be More News and broadcast. He's an attorney. And so for me, the real beauty is in as we come to some common ground, we can all get some rhythm. I don't know if y'all peeped our intro. We got a new intro by Mafia Shakur. He got the music. We're gonna go out on it. So
what?
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Before I let this crazy dog of mine out, I invite you all and ask you to tune in to a podcast called Money, Power, and Politics. It's on YouTube. We broadcast every Friday morning from 10 to 11. It's on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Money, Power, and Politics. Again, thank you for the invitation. I got to go because he's got to go outside. And hopefully, Donnie, you invite me again, and it'll be my pleasure and honor to come back.
Thank you, big brother.
Gratitude, Elder. Appreciate it.
All right, so gentlemen, they on fire in this chat, man. They popping iron over. Yeah, they going at it.
I see somebody said he was describing sovereignty.
Yes, sir.
And then I think it sounds like a universal stipend, like money, stuff like that. Sounds good.
Well, see the thing with the sovereign thing, you can't be sovereign in a commercial society unless you have land, unless you have a military, and unless you have your own form of currency.
Yeah, correct.
You can't be walking around talking about I'm sovereign, but you got Federal Reserve notes in your pocket. It's
right.
a conflict of interest.
Right.
Yes, sir. I think that goes along with what you were saying as far as in a nationhood. You know, we have no. That's why the tribes had confederacies, because that was their nationhood, but it was destroyed and infiltrated.
Mm-hmm. Right. You know, that's a lot to think about, and like a lot to consume. Is like, what is it going to benefit us in the end run? You get what I mean? Like he was saying, and I'm sitting back pondering. I was just trying to get to the gist of that. We got some of our people that know who we are, and they need to start telling other people in the family of who we are. And then we got some people within the family that get quote unquote certain stipends and benefits, and they need to share these stipends and benefits with other people in the family. Then at the same time, we do need to start businesses. We do need to organize into groups and start our own thing and pass the information. But like the elder was saying, what is this information going to benefit if we don't have no direction to push it in, you know? So I think that's something that we need to be focused on, and you know, start discussing them type of things amongst each other. You get what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for sure, bro. I think with this government shutdown, you know, I'm trying to watch it, you know, with a bird's eye view. I think that also with this artificial constitution, as well as this corporation that has been posing as a government, or the United States of America Incorporated.
Right.
I think that the Trump administration and whoever is behind him and understanding the reclamation of the people indigenous to Turtle Island in a public forum, according to international law, is what's at play here. So right. You know, I'm just sitting back and I'm watching the show. You know, but Donnie, is Donnie anywhere in here? And see, and to my Bible lovers, I have no problem with the Bible, because I do understand that Noble Drew Ali said, do not throw away your Bible, because we are going to use it to destroy the government or to dismantle the government. But we never had a Bible over here on Turtle Island. We didn't need books. You know, we had culture that taught us, you know, how to, you know, do this and do that. And then it was innate in our nature to know right from wrong. And for that aspect. But so far as, you know, the Bible, I have no problem with it. But when you try to keep pushing it on to people, you know, people are rejecting, you know, that particular narrative, you know, the biblical and these names and, you know, the Hittites and all of these ites and mites and all this other stuff, that don't have nothing to do, you know, with the people of Turtle Island in regards to our originality. Now, if there's some underlying parables under there, then so be it. But until those underlying parables are truly understood, I don't think that the people a Turtle Island that's waking up to this knowledge are really trying to hear that Bible stuff right about now.
Yeah, I think we was prepared for this in 2020 during the jab season, but in that time a lot of entrepreneurs had started. So it's like now we went back to where we was before it was jab season. Instead of us riding out what we had discovered and the routines that we had made during that season to create that communal economic structure that we looking for, that we talking about, how did it benefit us? How did it benefit us? I feel we still in that same season. It's just reinstituting that and building off of that to make it something greater.
Now, Copper Engine, she made a good comment. She said some discussions need not to be online, and that's the same thing. Like my mama used to talk about the right hand and left hand. Don't let you know that left hand know what your right hand doing. So on a lot of them situations on what we need to do should be kept amongst the heads of the tribes and put together. You get what I mean?
Well, this is just the drum. That's all we are. We the drum.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but I think that that us coming into contact with Chief Warhorse and Chief Redbird would be an excellent start. And yeah, I think that would be an excellent start. Yeah, and see some of those Moors, those are dirty Moors. They're good Moors as well, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And one good Moor.
Aren't they good and bad in every people? I mean, can we really blanket like this whole group of people here? They all this, they all that. I mean, is there any group of people like that? I don't know, because a lot of times I hear our people saying, "Oh, we need to stick together like the Koreans. When they come over, they open the store and then they give it." You don't know how rich Koreans treat poor Koreans. Them new Koreans that come over here, newbie, they get crapped on, straight crapped on. They are treated like trash. I've seen it. They don't want nothing to do with them for real.
Yeah, I saw in the
we always admiring other people,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I seen it in one of the magazines over there in India, where they got the caste system where it were two guys that had looked at or spoke to one of the people in the caste system, and they threw acid in them people's face. It messed their faces up just for looking or speaking.
Yeah, that's that system right there, son. Because they still got the caste system down in Mexico and South America, right? When they call you all types of names, if they judge you by the way you look and try to say you mixed.
I judge you how you treat me. I don't care what your religion is, what race you are, where you are from. Do you give respect? Because that's where I come from. That's how you get respect. You give respect. Absolutely. Starting with your elders. You give respect, you get respect. You give love, you get love. And when it ain't like that, you cut it off and keep it moving.
Keep it pushing, right?
And a lot of people too don't know about the Venezuelans. Where about a decade ago, the United States government starved the people in Venezuela out in opposition to their own government. And then they kind of try to come and pretend like they were playing, saviors and taking them to these sanctuary cities when they created the whole problem with the people in Venezuela from the jump.
I tell you,
a lot of stuff going on. Yeah,
we have stuck together. When I look at this presidency, going back to an election, and we don't talk a lot about politics on here because it seemingly don't fit. But for me, everything is political. Everything we do is political. Even getting your registration or citizenship is political. Politics determines who gets what, when, and where. And the what is the limited resources, the economics, the limited resources. Politics determines who gets that. And the problem is, I think a lot of times people in control have a scarcity mindset. That's what this Irish American woman told me once, that a lot of white people have the scarcity mindset. Like there's never enough for everybody. I've always had the mindset, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, that we have everything we need in order to survive. It's just that some people are so damn stingy and so damn greedy. But one other thing on Christianity, I understand if people don't ever want to see another preacher, another church, another Bible, because at the end of the day, we have closed our eyes and woke up, and these cats, France, England, Germany, Netherlands, they got all of the natural resources, the British, all of the natural resources, they claws in all of these countries that never get to develop because they on welfare. They owe they owe France. Haiti owns France. Haiti kicked France's hind parts out of Haiti. And they've been paying child support and restitution ever since.
And all that money goes straight to the Dominican Republic, right? Right next door. So where do we go? What? Like I said, what is our plan? I'm proactive. I try
Kim is coming at me now. Okay, why don't you put your real picture up, and why don't you accept the link to come on the show, because you what we call a Facebook gangster.
Yeah.
Show your face. Come on the show. Come on, don't run your mouth about me. You don't know me, son. If you're a boy, I don't know what you are. You gotta. I'm scared of grown men with cartoon characters for their avatar. I'm scared.
I feel that.
But Christianity, Christianity has done a number on us, and we still, a lot of us still don't get it.
Yes.
Because my thing is, with the books they study to show yourself approved. Okay, take me to the book. What book? You want to take me to the King James Version? No, I want you to take me to the oldest Bible you can find. And to my understanding, it's in Ethiopia. And it's in Amharic. So it ain't gonna be no English reading. That means no European perspective on it, purely from the original source. That's what I want to know, that my preacher has been to study, not what he learned at an American university, which is a watered down version of the Greek Christianity, Greek Orthodox Church, blah, blah, blah. And then but again, beyond all of that, a lot of these churches are not even open except on Sundays. How you going to be the triage unit, the spiritual triage unit for a people, and you ain't even open? And then the truth is, a lot of churches are too big. Populations have gotten smaller, and you got these little small group of people trying to keep a big church warm in the winter. The church ain't been renovated, ain't tightened up the glass in the windows, and so we may have to rethink all of this.
Church been colonized as well. They used to have power. Ministers like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, they was ministers. But they walk with power. These preachers and pastors and ministers don't walk with that same power for the people. It's more about the money.
In a sense, we still being colonized because everybody out for our opinions about religion. You know what I mean? About who to believe in and what to believe in. So we still, in a sense, being colonized.
It's how you treat people. I don't care what religion you are. Watch how they treat people. Muslim, Jew, Christian, Jehovah's Witness. The Jehovah's Witnesses are tenacious, though. I salute them. They are serious about their work. They be out there all weather. They out there like the dope man.
But it's unfortunate that the guy who started the Jehovah's Witness, Charles T. Russell, was a racist Irishman that said in some of his protocols that the white race was the superior race on the planet. And there was a time that if you were not Irish, you could not even be a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, that's all of them. Like the Mormons say the same thing, that our skin was a curse, Christians say the same thing, we was cursed, And it's just that nowadays we up here trying to come up with our own way to be fitting in with it, So it all depends on people's perspectives and who they want to and what they want to hold them down. But the same thing still stands, that we still got things to do, We can stand still and not do nothing, or move and do something.
Let me tell you how I know that we are on the same page.
How you can say that?
I'm going to tell you how every melanated person watching this show is on the same page.
Yes.
We doing the show right now. All of a sudden, y'all see a scuffle break out over here. And I take a hat off and toss it up in the air. What do that mean, Mafia Shakur?
I mean, it's a brawl going down. We coming. We swimming. We running. We coming with chairs. You know what I mean? We coming how we coming.
Did you see? I mean, I saw a rerun of it. He threw the hat up in the air. It was so poetic. He knew he was getting ready to go get into the tussle, but he said, Cat was swimming. Cat was like Greg Louganis. He was like swimming.
Yeah. But that's what
Did
this
you see it?
information is. That's what this information that we had is. It's the hat going up. We tossing the hat in the air.
That's what it means. It's on and popping. Tell him,
Yes,
Jason.
Yeah, you know,
And something else. I gotta tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate. I don't carry. I wasn't taught to carry hate as a child. Don't hate. Love all people. And also, some black people do worse than white people.
True indeed.
But when we look at what this country has done to us, my forgiveness. I'm not that good a Christian. Did you see that woman? That woman who was driving, it might have been in Georgia. She illegally parked her car, and she did bring some stuff on herself. She did bring some, because if you are known for being a lawbreaker and you did it, and they got the camera, it was ugly. But dude, he got his elbow all on her neck. She on the ground in a dress, and her daughter watching. It's like, these cats are savage. That's not a human being. You can't. That is a caveman.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Florida, because the police chief came on, and that it was the halo rule that you got to step back, you can't intervene. But dude, you got your elbow on it. You dogging her like she did some serious bank robbery type action. Like she went on a killing spree. And that's that dual mindedness of races. I'm sorry. I just got that love that. If you put your hands on me, I'm gonna try to take your head off.
Absolutely.
But see, I try not to
Praise the Lord.
I try not to look at that because I feel the same way you feel, but this is a result of them feeling that the warriors, the male warriors in the community, are at each other or loving on each other. Because for a long time, when they got here, man, we was kicking their asses, man. We weren't playing with them. And if you study,
we don't know that.
And if you study the history all the way up until the present day, it wasn't until when they what was my man Rodney King? See, when they after Rodney King got beat, they seen the result of that particular generation, what had happened. So that's why the mass incarceration, and then no discipline in the children and all this other stuff. So we can get this group of youngsters or YNs coming up now that have no regard for anybody, not even themselves. But this was a strategic war crime that they used against the people. And it was extremely strategic because it wasn't working in the 50s and the 60s and the 40s. Because remember, the Red Summers in the 20s stemmed from them throwing rocks at a little black boy that was swimming in Lake Michigan, somewhere like that. And it set off riots all across America. But see, they trying to push us to this physical battle with them, and we really don't have to fight a physical fight. We get them million matriarchs up on their right pyramid and chant them right vibrations, man, and watch what happens. Like I said, man,
That's cool because I don't like fighting some people who like to bank people anyway. They always want to catch a cat in flip-flops coming out the shower and they 10 deep, got on army boots and fatigues. Fight a cat head up. Let me see what you, because that's why Jack Johnson was so bad.
Yeah, Jack Johnson, yeah.
And I'm not talking about how he flaunted white women at a time when that would get you hung. Mm-hmm. But even that, that was a bad black man, melanated man, whatever you want to call him.
Yes, sir.
And he had money. Fear of a Black Planet.
And he had them hands, man, that were lethal. Yeah. Yeah, but man, that right there, man, putting your elbow all on that and all of that.
You got a fan, Horace. You got a fan, Horace. Talking about your Million Matriarch. Tell them what you want to do with this Million Matriarch March.
Oh no, I'm telling you, man, we gonna and you know who I want to contact? Sister Myra, because she's an astronomer and an astrologist, and this million matriarch march should be done in perfect synchronicity with what's going on in the planet. The same way they incorporate these towns and these cities and these states and whatnot, and we get that on the right day at the right time at the right energy portal. And get them sisters up there, man, to do them dances. And I'm telling you, man, we'll feel the earth shake, man. Mm-hmm. I know Top Cat, is on it, at some point, man. But yeah, man, that's gonna change the game, man. That Million Matriarch March.
Yes, sir.
Because we're not just going. No, I'm just saying we're not going like the Million Man March, where you got a million guys sitting there listening to one guy talking.
Yes, sir.
No, sir. This is a participation with the matriarchs that's vibrating. And I would love for them sisters from the MGT and the Nation of Islam, as well as the Moabitises, the Hebrew Israelite sisters, even some of the sisters in the churches, because regardless of what their religious perspective is, they still hold the keys to the universe within the mitochondrial DNA. And man, I'm telling you, man, that is I'm gonna step back from it, man, and I'm gonna let one of you guys, because I'm a little charged up about that Million Matriarch March, man.
Yeah, that's powerful because they're using the same astrology and the same science to track us and decrease our frequency and vibration. So that's definitely a powerful way to uplift. That's why we sing in church. That's why why we had the pyramids to do the rain dance and the sun dance and the moon dance and these different dances.
And the sea walk and the bee walk.
Yes, Candy Walker showed up in the chat.
And the hyphy.
So we gotta get this matriarch mark off the ground, Horace.
Well, Candy Bar gonna be the one to lead the Candy Bar. We have an assignment for you. But shout out to all of the people in the chat. Jackie, Sacred Instruments, Virginia's Finest, Tahonga. He been on the warpath all night. Copper Engine, Jason, Alibaba. Brenda, she probably got more posts than anybody. Y'all can't keep up with Brenda. Jackie, Siobhan, Son of Judah, American. Yeah, shout out to the people in the chat.
And Candy Bobby switching them pictures up, don't she?
Yes, she's Candy rolling. Peace to the panel. I like to stay on her good side. I do not want her coming after me.
Absolutely.
Because she ain't playing. All right, gentlemen, we'll be back Tuesday, 9 p.m. I get out of class. I'll be here, Mafia Shakur. Hey, we're going to take you out on something. I don't know if y'all saw this. Did y'all see this, man?
Yeah, I seen it. Let's take us out on that one. I like that.
Yeah, we're going out on this. May the good Lord bless everybody to have a safe and powerful week. Bless your homes. Bless your peace of mind. Don't let nothing stress you out. Use your emergency phone numbers or just say a prayer. But we thank you, Horace, Hannibal, our prayers for Planet Wells and his family, Mafia Shakur.
Planet Wells.
And this is Mafia Shakur's work right here.
Doni Glover, here it go. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Welcome to the show. Eastbound with the shadow, illuminates from the soul. Knowledge yourself, you probably sitting on a pot of gold. Tell me in the chat, you think we from Africa? Really though? The wrong perspective will cloud your judgment. I mean, somebody could tell you somebody you wasn't. Pay more homage and less worship. You tired of being a pushover than be assertive. Politics is just an old ancient secret circus. It gets deeper the more you go in below the surface. We gotta learn to deal with trauma, be your own savior. My old earth gave me birth to God, one with nature. I'm an American Indian. Fight for the rights of my native land. I'm an American Indian. your rights, fight for your life. Eastern Shore, Mississippian, down by the river. Black man, red skin, bunch of Indian givers. Real side of Shakur, prisoners of the war. Return of the matriarch, the return of the God. East side, muddy water, we indigenous tribes. Black Wall Street, I run a family business of mine. Straight out the gutter, word the mother, high chief on the rise. They read the Bible translation, but ain't reading the scribe. Keep it G, Cherokee, Gullah Geechee the gang. You know how it is, everybody got beef with the king. Turtle Island, we steppin', can't let them kill our connection. You know the mind and the tongue be the deadliest weapons. I'm an American Indian, fight for the rights of my native land. I'm an American Indian, fight for your rights, fight for your life. I am a real American, fight for the rights of my native land. I am a real American, fight for your rights, fight for your life.
So this right here is the other side. So you can actually see the pyramid and the steps, but you also see the sign who's in control of it.
Yourself, you probably sitting on a pot of gold. Tell me in the chat, you think we from Africa? Really though? The wrong perspective will cloud your judgment. I mean, somebody could tell you you somebody you wasn't.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, man. Can't be dropping them bars like that, man.
Man, I appreciate the love, man.
Hey,
I'm out of here, gentlemen.
American.
Please, family.
I was gonna windmill, man. I was gonna bust out the windmill.